about this project before in the media, and I thought it was very fascinating. Didn't give it another thought until about 2 weeks ago, when I was reading up on it, and I was told I could be hosting this evening, and I read the amazing story of Al-Nur Kanji. You never really understand Al-Nur until you meet him, until you see what's going on in his mind, his vision, and I dare say he's got more hope for Kenya than a lot of our politicians, and I wish they could, 50% would be like Al-Nur. But the thing about Al-Nur, he puts his money where his mouth is. It took me aback to think that a fellow Kenyan can think like this. It encouraged me, and I can see that a lot of you people saw what he was seeing when you decided to jump on board this great project. His story is remarkable. So listen to Al-Nur, because what he's going to tell you will be nothing short of nuggets of wisdom. Ladies and gentlemen, Al-Nur Kanji.
The Group CEO of the Kenya Commercial Bank, Mr. Joshua Oigara. I've just spotted him and I'm delighted he's here. So I'm going to start with him. Friends of EnglishPoint, actually more than friends. We have a lot of investors here, and I'm calling them friends because that's how we see them. But amongst our group here, there's a lot of people here that have believed in EnglishPoint and have invested in EnglishPoint. And I want to acknowledge their presence, and I want to say thank you to them. And I want to remind them, they're not just friends of EnglishPoint. They're not just investors at EnglishPoint. They are part of the EnglishPoint journey. Because remember, a project like this cannot materialize if people are not willing to buy before you finish. And these are the individuals that have had the trust and the confidence, but it makes them a part of the EnglishPoint journey. They will be remembered in history as having enabled EnglishPoint to happen. And I want to applaud them and thank them for their confidence. Friends of our friends, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to EnglishPoint. It's okay. No issues. Are you okay? So yes, welcome to EnglishPoint. It's been an exciting journey, and I'm delighted to bring EnglishPoint to you in Nairobi, because that is what this event is all about. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take you through a journey. And the journey is all about the slide that you see. First and foremost, the journey is about the future of Mombasa. And those are big words, but they're important words, because that's where we're headed. And during this journey, I will introduce you to what we reckon is the foremost real estate investment opportunity in the region. And that's EnglishPoint Marina. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start first with who are the men behind EnglishPoint? Because it's a question that's asked very often. We are two brothers. Dr. Amin Kanji, who lives in England, and myself, Al-Nur Kanji. Who are we? Kenyans, born in Mombasa. Our parents were born in Kenya. My dad was born in Mombasa, my mother was born in Kisumu. But my grandfather came from India. So we're Indian origin. He came in the early 1900s, and we are told he came as a stowaway on a ship that was headed for Zanzibar, but because of bad seas, the ship docked in Mombasa, and he got offloaded in Mombasa, penniless. But he soon became the biggest contractor and developer in Mombasa. And that's because that's our lineage. I'm told that when our lineage that goes back to India, we come from a family of contractors. We come from a family of developers. And that's in our genes. And that's what I'm doing. And that's why that's what I'm doing. It's a passion that we have. It's a belief that we have. It flows in our blood. And that passion is what EnglishPoint is all about. I was educated in Kenya, high school, and then I spent 10 years in the world outside. 5 years in England, university, 5 years in Canada. And I believe it is that influence, that experience, that has resulted in EnglishPoint Marina. It's the value added that you bring when you come back from that experience of having been a part of the developed world. And I'm only one of many such people that are now coming back to Kenya and bringing value added. And a lot of my time in Canada was spent in a beautiful city, arguably the most beautiful city in the world, Vancouver, British Columbia on the west coast. Waterfront, like Mombasa, and all about marinas. And that was my first exposure to that lifestyle, into that concept. I had a friend whose dad owned an apartment in a marina, and I used to visit them. And it was a wow. You know, psychologists we will tell you that if you put water in front of a human being, it has calming effects. And we all know that because waterfront property is expensive. But they will also tell you, put a boat in the water in front of somebody, and the effect doubles. And that's what marinas do. That's what boats do. That's why they're expensive toys. But that's why they're the toys of choice of the rich and famous. And that, I believe, is what influenced this development. It was coming back to Kenya and bringing that experience and the understanding of what it means to have a marina. There's so much more to a marina, and I will come back to it, because it's not just about the ambience, and it's not just about the psyche or what it does to you, but it's a game changer for a country. This will be the very first marina between Cape Town and Cairo. Think about it. Egypt has a couple, South Africa has a couple. There is no other marina on the entire east coast of Africa. This will be the first. And we're already making waves. So that's the vision. It's about Kenya, it's about Mombasa, and it's about our belief in this country. A lot of people have asked me, where does your confidence come from? And I have a very simple explanation for it, and it's just the way we are wired, I suppose. And I've always said there are two types of Kenyans. Both on very opposite ends of the scale, both right in their own way, and both can hold their ground and their position through logic and argument. But they are two very different types of people. And they are, on one side, those that always see the glass is half empty, And on the other side, those that always see the glass half full. It's still the same glass and it's still the same water. But you see how different the mindsets are. And I and my brother and my family have always, always, always seen Kenya as a glass half full. And EnglishPoint is a testimony to that. Remember, we started this project in 2009. Just after the turmoil we had with our last elections, the 2007-2008. And about the time that the world went through an economic crisis, we were undeterred, because it's our belief that Kenya is moving. It is our conviction that we will become the pearl in Africa. It is our conviction that we will stand tall and we will show the world that Africa is capable, that Africa can belong to that big league. And that is our Kenya. And that has been our belief. And that is where our passion comes from. And that is what EnglishPoint is all about. It stopped becoming a financial venture for us a long time ago. It stopped becoming something about returns. After we procured the property and appreciated the location and got to the concept, it's been an emotional journey. It's been a sentimental journey. It's for Mombasa. It's for my city. It's where we're going with this country. And that's been the vision. And I come back to the journey, the future of Mombasa. I've spoken a lot about Kenya. What about Mombasa? I'm very excited about the prospects of Mombasa. I think, and I'm told by reliable sources, that in the next few years, the rate of growth, economic growth that we might see on the coast might be higher than Nairobi. Not in terms of shillings, but in terms of the rate of growth, because we are starting from a base that is much lower than Nairobi's. But that is where the future of Mombasa comes. And that is where EnglishPoint as a development, as an investment comes in, because the opportunities are tremendous. But what is it about Mombasa that's exciting us? Let's just look at a few things that are happening around, just to give you a sense. And there's some big stuff happening in Mombasa. The port is huge, we all know that. It's very strategic, we all know that. But it's expanding. It's tremendous investments coming in for expansion. Another container terminal, another one planned again. We've got the Dungu bypass, which is an alternative to the ferry. It's going to be a bypass from the port of Mombasa to the south coast. And it's a huge investment, because it's not just a road. Had it been that simple, we would have not waited all these years. The reason we've not seen anything there is because it is all wetlands. And so it's not just a question of building roads, it's a question of building bridge after bridge after bridge. But that's going to start next year. That's huge. That's tremendous investment coming to the coast. We've got the export-free zones. We've got talk about Mombasa becoming a free port and all that will bring with it. Tourism, of course, can only grow compared to Dubai, compared to Bangkok. We're very small. Yet we've got a lot more than those countries. Where is our potential? Mining. Something new. Because we don't normally associate Kenya with mining. But there is a tremendous potential there, and we've got tremendous resource. You know that they're mining titanium in Kwale on the south coast. I'm told we have probably the second or the third largest deposits in the world. That's huge. But sources tell us that there are even bigger deposits north of Mombasa, in Kilifi and Wipingo. Untapped, but being looked at. Think of what that will do to the coast. Think of the potential. Think of what that will do to investments on the coast. Tremendous. Lamu Port. You know that this is going to be Kenya's single largest infrastructural development since independence. Think about it. Huge, huge, huge. On the coast. Not only are they building a port, they're building a railway, northern corridor, from Kenya across into Uganda, up into Sudan. With the railway will come cities. We will have new cities being built in Kenya. Just the way Voi came up and Mtito came up because of the railway line. This is new territory for us. It's huge for Kenya. With the railway will come a highway. Huge. And then with the highway, we're going to see a pipeline. Because Ugandan oil needs to find the sea. And without the sea, the oil is worth nothing. So that's in the pipeline. Think of what that will do to the coast. Think of what that will do to the economy there. Think of all the high-end people, with what I've listed. We've got the oil and gas. We found oil reserves, gas reserves off the coast. Think of the number of high-end consultants that are going to be coming through. Where will they stay? Do we really have high-end places? We've got beach hotels, but they're tourist hotels. Where will they stay? I can think of one place, EnglishPoint Marina. Where else? You've got the Tamarind Village. Where else? Think about it. There is no business environment. It's all tourist hotels. So our timing is perfect. The future of Mombasa. And yet EnglishPoint is not the future. EnglishPoint is present. We're almost finished. We're there. You can see it. So the opportunity to invest and be prepared for the economy to grow on the coast and for you to benefit. Just a couple more lines about the excitement and interest. I spoke about the fact that marinas can be game changers. You know, we've received an invitation from the government of Mauritius, out of the blue, into my inbox, email inbox. Dear Mr. Kanji, we've heard about your project. We're inviting you to come to Mauritius. We'd like you to invest and do a marina in Mauritius. And they've sent a map showing why, and they've put Kenya as a point of circuit, and we're not even finished. But we're already on the map, an international map. That's what EnglishPoint Marina is doing. We've now received an invitation from the government of the Maldives. We'd like you to come and do a marina there. Why? They understand what it means to have a marina. We've been invited by Sunseekers. Sunseeker is a brand that makes luxury boats. And within that industry, they are the number one. They are the Ferraris of the boating world. Their boats range from £500,000 to £15 million. We got an email out of the blue from their managing director for Africa. I've been following your development. It's very exciting. I'd like to come and visit you. They came to visit us. They have only two dealers in Africa, dealerships. One is in Cape Town, and one is a recent one in Seychelles at Eden Island. You know, Seychelles created an island like Dubai did with the Palm. They created an island to make a marina because they understood what it meant to have a marina. So Sunseekers came to see us. They looked at the project. They said, wow, it's the best we've seen. And we'd love to have our third dealership in Africa at EnglishPoint. And I think he must have realized that I'm not looking very excited. And he was not too happy. So he said to me, sit down. Do you understand who we are? I said, I'm not a boating person. And he says, it's like Ferrari approaching you when you're building a business center. You say, I'd love to place my cars here. And he says, you know why we only have 2 dealers in Africa? Not because there isn't the market. We've not found an appropriate destination and a venue to be a Sunseeker dealer, because that's the quality we're looking for. And the quality that we see here, absolutely perfect. Okay. So I'm just giving you some examples and that is all, again, is the future of Mombasa, isn't it? And it ties nicely with what we're doing at EnglishPoint. So, in the next 5-10 years, look what we'll see. Fast trains, we will become a transit point to Cape Town, Dubai, Seychelles. The big boys are going to bring their yachts here. And that's what we think Mombasa will look like in the next few years. High rises, modern, a ground for the super yachts, and a great need for high-end accommodation. We've got in there early and we're setting the pace. Having spoken about Mombasa, a few words on EnglishPoint, and I think you can see I'm even folding the paper because this is the bit that I love to talk about, and I don't need any prompts, so it's just subconsciously. Where did this all come about, and what is EnglishPoint, and how was it born? And I think it's a story worth telling because it'll give you a sense of what EnglishPoint is all about and where we're coming from. We acquired 4 acres of a fantastic piece of property in Mombasa in end of 2007. Honestly, we were surprised that we managed to get that plot because everyone was vying for it, and for the last for 10 years nobody did manage to get it, but we got it. Well, you know what? We offered 20% more than the asking price. Unheard of. The estate agents went crazy when they found out we'd signed the deal. What have you done? How can you do this? That was in end of 2007. We've had offers for 4 times the value of what we paid already. But honestly, the property, absolutely stunning. Greenfield site, opposite, exactly what you see there. This picture is a live, real shot, not computer generated, from EnglishPoint Marina, which is where we stand. And that's an evening shot. And you're looking at the heritage Fort Jesus and the old Mombasa skyline. And it is unique because we have 600 kilometers of coastline. Only at EnglishPoint do you get that. And why is it desirable? You go to any beach hotel, and I'm sure you've been to beach hotels, and look out at night, look into the sea at night. It's a big zero up there. It's one big dark hole. There's no ambience, there's nothing to see. If there are lights in the garden, that's as far as your eyes will go. Not at EnglishPoint. Beautiful as it is in the daytime, absolutely stunning at night. That is what you see at night. And that's what makes it so special. And because of that, the thinking about the marina, the plot dictated what came to it. In a funny way, you might think I'm going a little crazy. In a funny way, the plot decided what it what should come on there. It spoke to us. Normally a developer will buy a plot and think for it. But we were so in awe of the property, and we spent time there, that it just came, with my experiences in Vancouver, it just became obvious that it deserves nothing but the best. And the best development you can put on any waterfront is a marina development. And we will not be the first and the only marina. It's going to explode the number of marinas we're going to see, because it's going to be that successful. But you know what? There is not going to be another English Point. Nobody will be able to duplicate it or replicate it because of the location. See, when the rich and the famous, both Kenyan and overseas, buy their boats, they want them to be seen. They don't want to be in a creek in Kilifi where nobody is going to see it. We're going to get marinas there. Where's the preference going to be? Showcase it in front of Mombasa. Yeah? And that was the vision. And then, of course, because we decided it had to be the best, we went out to get the best. And we went searching for architects in the world, because we wanted a firm that was familiar with this concept. And we decided to go with the UK because my brother lives in the UK. And because of UK's connection with Kenya with regard to building standards, codes, we speak the same language. So I chanced it and I wrote to RIBA, Royal Institute of British Architects, and said, hey, I have a fantastic property and I'm looking for a firm in the UK that's done international work, including marinas. Prerequisite has to be award-winning. I honestly didn't expect an answer. And I got a list of some 10, 15 names within days. And we wrote to them, we invited interest, and we got interest. And my brother in the UK made appointments to see them. We shortlisted 8. I flew from here. We went to see the first firm. And of course, your senior partner receives you in a tie and a suit, takes you to the boardroom, and he did a slideshow. I fell off my chair. I said, wow, look at that. On the way home, I'd say to my brother, do we even need to go to the other 7? I mean, who can better this? Of course, he said, hey, I'm the one that's made the appointments. We'll go to all of them. We went to the second, better than the first. We went to the third. Yes, you guessed it, better than the first 2. We are now 2 very depressed boys. How on earth are we going to decide who to go with? And it came to us after a couple of days. We said, you know what? There's only one way. Let's spend some money. Let's invite them to a design competition. Let's fly them all to Kenya. Let's pay them for their time. And let's get a concept on the table. And based on what we see on the table, we will make a judgment. And out of the 8, we shortlisted 4 and invited 4. Out of the 4, 2 dropped out, saying, design competition, not interested. 2 said, absolutely. And we flew 2 firms to Kenya. Just that exercise was an eye-opener. They loved the property. Both of them said, especially one, Al-Noor is one of the prettiest creeks I've seen in the world. But I'm disappointed. His name was Ian Apsley. I said, why Ian? He says, because it's dead. I'm saying, what do you mean it's dead? He says, I see nothing in the sea. I don't see boats. I don't see restaurants. I don't see boardwalks. I don't see marinas. He says, if you go to Istanbul, to the Bosphorus, go to Hong Kong, go to Vancouver, it's buzzing. The life revolves around the waterfront. You've got such a fantastic natural resource, but there's nothing. So I said, are you disappointed? So is that? He says, well, when I said disappointed, he says, I'm equally excited. I said, why? He says, because your thinking is spot on. You're planting the seed. This is what Kenya needs. This is what this waterway needs. And he says, that has got me sufficiently excited to say, if we're given the job, we'd be proud and privileged to be a part of your journey. And we appointed a firm called Broadway Mallion. We were very impressed by the design. Fortunately, by the way, after 2 designs, one was very obvious. Had they been very close, I think we'd have had a problem. They were not close. And Broadway Mallion have been fantastic. They are a huge organization with 150 professionals in the UK office. They've got offices all over the world. They are ranked top 30 in the world. And what got them excited, equally excited, was the brief from us. Because we said to them, hey, we want to bring the very best to Kenya. Not for Kenya. The very best that you as architects can design and specify. The best in the world. And he says, music to our ears. But will you allow us to do what we want to do? I said, sure, why not? And he said, then we need to make a deal. We want veto power. I said, what do you mean? He says, I don't know, 9 out of 10 times the finished product looks nothing like what we designed, because the developer comes in and says, it's too much, it's too little, I want an extra room here, I want to move this back, and our designs are gone. And if you're looking for the best, yes, you can come talk to me, but if at the end of the day I say to you, Al-Nur, I don't agree with you, it will not work, you need to step back and say, okay. And we've kept our word. And that's what EnglishPoint is all about. And the quality, Ian Apsley is the lead architect. He was here 3 months ago. On the way to the airport, he says, Al-Nur, wow, I never thought you could achieve this in your part of the world. When you're finished, you will stand toe to toe with the best in the world. And that was real testimony for us. Yeah. And he agreed with me. You know, during the process when we were inviting them to Kenya, when I'd said to them, I want the best, that the first thing they said, but it's costly. And I said, but I've not talked about costs. But Al-Nur, you know, this is Africa. I said, don't ever say that to me again. Come to Kenya. Kenyans are not citizens of Africa. Kenyans are citizens of the world. We know the world. We've lived in the world. We have a diaspora that's 2 to 3 million strong. We've been to the best institutions in the world. We've lived in the best hotels in the world. We understand the world. We know the world. And we have evolved and developed and have the capacity today to be able to afford the world in Kenya. It's just that we don't get it. And we have the people that will understand what we're doing, will understand the quality of what we're doing, and will be willing to invest. And that's been our journey. And that's been EnglishPoint. And that's the game changer that we talk about. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the future of Mombasa. The message is, be part of the foremost real estate investment opportunity in the region. To the buyers, to my buyers that are here, you had the vision and you were able to see. And it will be a very wise investment. Ladies and gentlemen, with those words, I will stop, because otherwise there is no stopping. I can carry on and on and on. The journey of EnglishPoint has been tremendously exciting. I've not touched on a million issues about our eco and about, but we'll find time. If you're interested enough, we'll find time and we will talk. But for now, that's good enough. Thank you very much.
Welcome. When we were talking earlier, he had talked about the biggest destinations to big yachts and the big billionaires, because they love to travel. That's why they have all these boats. I think he mentioned Monte Carlo. We all know that marina. during the Grand Prix, there's nothing like it. Then he mentioned the Far East, which is another big destination. And someone told him, you know, there's one thing you've got that those two don't have. That is the safari and the wild animals. Put that in your package. You're unbeatable. You've got something they don't have, but you've got everything they have. That was really powerful for me. I remember that for a long, long time.